and I told God, I'm like, I'm gonna fast for 40 days in the wilderness and not have music or gym be my escape. And whew, was it a wilderness. I really experienced the bodily sensations, the anxiety, the anger, the frustration, like fully, because I couldn't take it out while listening to music, and I couldn't go to the gym about it. So I had to sit with it. And why I'm sharing this is because when you block out your feelings and emotions through activities, you don't get to ever experience what's underneath you and let it out. Hi, this is day 3 of my trip in Atlanta. And I just was thinking about some things that I wanted to film. And I think one of the biggest things I wanted to share, hopefully it will encourage you to kind of take a look at your habits. The first time I fasted from music for 40 days, I actually did a double fast. I called it my wilderness season. I fasted from music and the gym for 40 days in starting March of 2024, end of February 2024. And I want to tell you all about it. So the reason why I first fasted from both these things at the same time, they were connected. So the gym was always my escape from everything. It was what built this character of mine that, you know, it wasn't fully me. It was a version of me that I thought I should become, this tough fitness girl. And though there was so much that I learned during that process, there was something in me that I couldn't shake, that didn't feel fully at peace with that whole process of like working out so intensely, building this physique that I didn't know what I wanted from that and why I was going for it. So for me, for those who don't know, my whole fitness journey started when I was a kid. I was really overweight, and then I lost weight when I was starting 12 years old. I went through a whole weight loss journey. I was like 165 pounds was my highest when I was in 6th grade. And then I went through a weight loss journey, and then I ended up just wanting to be skinny, and I lost a lot of weight. And that's when the gym and everything became my biggest focal point. So the gym for me was my place where I felt strong. I felt like I was becoming something. But in all honesty, my body changed the most in my basement. My basement was like my laboratory. I went on like a very big cut during 2014, and I didn't join the gym until like 2016 or 2017. So I just worked out with dumbbells. I was doing a lot of cardio. I was in a calorie deficit. And so I just, that became my life. That became my livelihood, like the endorphins, hours of working out every day. And so fast forward to March of 2024, God was really changing everything in my life. My journey to becoming a counselor. And I had to really sit down and think about my habits, my actions, and my behaviors. And one of them was the gym. And it was just, I was realizing that I would be going to the gym. Sorry, my voice is... I'd be going to the gym or wanting to go to the gym when I was frustrated about something, when I was upset about something. Immediately, I picked up my headphones, took my gym bag, and like drove to the gym. And as I noticed I kept doing that, I'm like, why is this cycle keeping happening? Because what would happen is after the workout was done and I felt good and everything, I'd come back and the problem was still there. So one of the things was undoing, like, what is the gym doing for me? And how is it harming me? And how is it more than it's helping me? So there was a time where like the gym just became like drinking water. So during that time, I stopped going to the gym. I didn't stop working out. I just stopped going to the gym. And a reason for that, a big reason, was just I didn't like how the gym was becoming in my head. Didn't like being checked out in that way, and then feeling nervous and weird around guys at the gym. But also like gym crushes, like they were consuming. And I'm like, why am I doing this? This is wasting my time. And I knew none of those guys were for me in that way. Like, that's not the place I wanted to meet someone or like start something. And it just became really distracting and really just damaging to my mind. So in conjunction with the music, obviously when you go to the gym, you're listening to music. And so the music I was listening to was just like, secular music, how it's like, and you're making this thing in your head. And I don't know if this is more for girls and guys, but just, thinking scenes in your head and just like escaping in your mind. And I was doing that for way too long. And I was just like, let me surrender this. And I told God, I'm like, I'm going to fast for 40 days in the wilderness and not have music or gym be my escape. And was it a wilderness. I really experienced the bodily sensations, the anxiety, the anger, the frustration, like fully, because I couldn't take it out while listening to music and I couldn't go to the gym about it. So I had to sit with it. And why I'm sharing this is because when you block out your feelings and emotions through activities, you don't get to ever experience what's underneath you and let it out. So for me, I was harboring so much of these intense emotions, years and years of piling it with and covering it with working out and covering it with music, and never really asking myself the deep questions like, what's bothering me? Why are these people that I love bothering me and hurting me? And why am I so close to them? I was like completely like had a wall towards my parents, towards my sister, towards people I just cared about. And I'm just like, this isn't healthy. This isn't what I want, especially becoming a woman of God and becoming a counselor in the making. Like, I can't operate like this anymore. So I did experience, like, I don't even know how to say this, but like withdrawal effects. Like I remember one time I was angry about something during that fast, and I took myself ready to go to the gym, and I'm like, wait, I'm fasting from the gym. And my hands were literally shaking. My body was literally like tense, and I had to like take deep breaths and calm myself down because I'm like, no. And then I went in my prayer closet and I prayed, and it wasn't easy. It's not easy to undo a mechanism that you've already started in your body, and that your brain and your whole nervous system is used to this process of like, you're mad, you're sad, you're upset. Okay, gym time. Let's release get some endorphins. Let's burn something. And same thing with music. Music was just like a sedative for me. So there were certain songs, very like dark music, sad music that I'd listen to whenever I just didn't want to deal with life. And it would like tranquilize me. But it didn't take away the issue. It just temporarily just softened it and like blurred it for a little bit. So during this time I was listening to worship music, because obviously when you take out something, you need to replace it. Like, you take out a bad habit, you replace it with something good. And for the gym, I just stopped working out so intensely and just did like walks or like danced, or movements or yoga, whatever I wanted to do. And then after some time, like, the itch did die down. And I remember like just listening to worship music, and whenever I had like intense emotions and putting on worship music, it just like made things calmer, clearer, and I was okay with my emotions. That's why I'm sharing this. You have to get to a point, it's important for you, if you're trying to become a better person, in general, to really sit and like understand your emotions and be okay with feeling every emotion: embarrassment, guilt, shame, disgust, sadness, anger, bitterness, loneliness, all those emotions and feelings. It's part of a human process. But when we use other things to muffle them, you're doing a disservice to your body and your brain and your mind and your spirit. Because you need to go through that experience of, what does this feeling feel like, and how do I react to it, and what happens when I experience this, and what do I do when it's coming my way. And it's just, I'm sure everyone has their own coping mechanisms, but be careful with using too many coping mechanisms or too many escapes or too many sedatives to calm those emotions or blur them, because they're going to come back later, or they're going to just sit bitter and grow into a tree that's really bitter, to a tree that's really resentful, to a tree that's unhealed. And guess what? Those trees can't produce fruit. And when a tree can't produce fruit for other people, what kind of good tree is it? It's not a good tree. And one of the most beautiful things of learning, whether you believe in God or not, I hope that this encourages you to ask about God. But one of the most encouraging things in my life of being a believer and loving God is learning about how to serve others and help others, because not just how good it feels, how right it feels, how the characteristics it produces in me when I do things for other people, like humility and servanthood and love and compassion and kindness. Like, those qualities just make you feel better. It makes you light up in a different way. And we're so, like, one of the biggest things, and I don't talk about this on my channel, not really at all, when we talk about spiritual warfare, right? So that's like when a believer, someone is like debating with good and bad, good and evil. And for me, one of the biggest things that I have noticed is just this funnel that a lot of people, when we are confused with, why am I still stuck with this habit, this sin, this problem? Like, why do I keep going to these places, these things, watching these things, listening to this music? It's a funnel. So there's when in business, there's something called evergreen. And evergreen sales, automated sales, is kind of like you click on a page and the person who created the program, everything's automatic. They're not actually there helping you through the process. Everything is like, you click a page, it leads to another page. That page leads to a checkout. That checkout leads to an advertisement. All these different little things. The enemy does the same thing. He has this funnel. And the funnel is like this big world of entertainment with music and movies and shows and all of these kind of things that the second you start watching it, the second you start listening to it, you start to fall prey to what they're talking about. Your attitude, the way you talk starts to change. You start to mimic that. You start to think things about people that you weren't thinking before the show. You weren't thinking before the movie. You start to have like lust for things and people that was incited and instigated by what you watched and what you saw. So, and you may be thinking like, oh my God, I'm going through so much of this, like the enemy's after me. Not really. You just subscribed to the funnel. You just entered into that place where everything is going to suck you in and confuse you. And so just be super mindful of what you're ingesting, what you're consuming. And that goes all back to food. And that's I don't want to go there now. But when I filmed my podcast in Atlanta, that's something I talked about. Our first lessons are learned through what we eat, how we eat, how food was brought to us, what we think about different kinds of foods, and that manifests into everything else. So where am I going with that? That was one of the biggest reasons why fasting from music and the gym, it just helped me take a step back, and I stopped seeing people for like sorts of gain. So to be super honest, like when I was, in the gym a lot, I check out guys a lot, but like I wouldn't want to be with them, if that makes sense. Like I wasn't trying to marry anybody. It was more just like looking at guys and looking at people in that way of like, oh, like what can they do for me? How can they please me? Like, think about attraction, right? When you are attracted to someone and you like someone, it's immediately physically, it's pleasing to your eyes, right? And we have to be really mindful of looking at people and objectifying them. Women do it to men too. We talk about men doing that to women, but women do it in their own ways too. Whether that's fantasizing or like on dates with them or like thinking about them in that way and not even knowing if they have a boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, whatever. And one of the things that, like, when I took off the headphones, I started to see life for more what it is and for people for who they are, as opposed to what in my mind they were becoming, because I had the scene in my head because of the music, what the music was telling me. So I really hope, I didn't share too much about the whole process because this was a free flow, but I'm telling you, like, it really just helped me calm down and be still and not look at people for any way of gain. Like, one of the biggest things I can share for dating, if you're in a dating season looking just a single person, let God work in your heart so that you're not looking at people for what they can give you, but rather how you can steward each other, how you can bless them, and how they can be a blessing to you. So that even if you part your ways, you're not carrying bitterness or anger or defensiveness. Like, you were just two people who crossed paths, seeing if you aligned, and if not, you go separate ways. It's when all of the, oh, but they did this, and like they were matched my list, and they like met this requirement, they met this height requirement, or they look like this, and this is all what I always wanted, me, my. That's when we hold on to anger and hurt, and that's when it's not fair for you or them. If they're not, if you guys never even entered the stage of relationship, be very mindful of that. Like how, and during the courting process, during your single season, just looking at people the way God sees them, honoring them, even if they're attractive, just honoring them as a human being. And like, they were a child once, they were a kid once, like honoring that side of them, right? That they're a human with flaws, they're a human with imperfections, and that your job as a believer, as a good person, it should be, and you should feel that in your heart, to treat them with kindness, treat them with compassion. That's something God had taught me. But I'm telling you, all this happened when I stopped going to that gym that I was going to, and I took a break from the music. Maybe this seems dramatic to some people, but this was my story. And this is how my heart changed with, obviously God did a work in my heart too. And I was healing and loving my family again. But those two things during my journey really helped me. Like, you have to remove your distractions. You have to filter out and be mindful of what you're feeding yourself during the time of healing, right? You want a clean house. You want a clean environment. You want a clean heart. And those things were making my heart filthy. I don't go to that gym anymore that I used to go to. After 10 years, I was going to that gym, and I switched to a different gym that I worked at. And this is the glory of God. I was really struggling with going to that gym. After the fast, I still went to the gym here and there. Then the habits and the mindsets kept coming back. Then around September, I remember like my membership expired. And I was thinking about like doing it, but I'm like, I can't. I spent this whole time healing. I can't go back to that place. And then I remember I was about to get a new job as a trainer at a different gym, a family gym. And that day I met with it was the next day I met with like the HR person, and they were like, oh, by the way, I was a part-time employee, they're like, since you're part-time, you get free membership. I'm like, huh, isn't that the Lord? It was great because this gym was just, families and children and old people, and it was like no one was distracting to be there. By the time I was already like in a healthier mind space, so God helped me out there. And I'm sharing this because maybe you don't even realize that the gym has done that to you, that the gym has provoked feelings of like lust, and like you're getting distracted and there's temptation and you don't know what to do. And it's okay to change gyms. It's okay to work out at home until you, you ask God for that conviction though. Ask God to lead you to that. But, you have permission to break protocol of things in your life that you think are just normal and okay, but aren't resting well in your spirit. Okay? You have permission to do that. No matter what other people, whether like your gym bros, gym girls, like they love the routine that you guys have going, but inside you that you don't really like going to this place anymore. If they don't understand, they don't understand. Like, follow your conviction, follow your calling to being a higher person, a better person. And that's not everyone's story. Maybe you go to the gym, you don't even think about it. So, I'm just sharing mine. Maybe it's something else for you. Maybe it's a certain friend group. Maybe it's the bars that you go to, or maybe like the clubs that you go to, or the environment that you're in, that you feel a tug in your spirit, and that something in you just kind of like, I don't think this is for me anymore. Even though I've been going here for 10 years, it's just nothing feels right about it at the end of the day. And it doesn't make me feel better, like in my soul. I do listen to music now. I haven't listened to secular music in a while. I do enjoy worship music, and there's so, like, for me, that's just the decision I had to make. I'm not telling you to do that, but again, like, that's your own walk, your own journey. Like, every person has their own timetable with when they discover what new thing they have to do, what old thing they have to let go of. Like, there's no perfect formula. It's like God will refine you, God will teach you, God will lead you into the place and the timing that you need to be there, and the situations you have to go through to get there. But I do want to share, like, I had this really intense thing with music and escapism, and I wrote about it in my book, but it broke off when I took a step back and was realizing that I continually was choosing the escapism. So I have to choose not to escape and choose to confront with love things in my life and people in my life that were hurting me. And I had to confront myself first. And I was like, wait, I'm hurting me. I'm hurting me. So I have to take a step back. And a lot of us are hurting ourselves, and we think it's other people, but it's us not having boundaries. It's us not being truthful. It's us not standing up for ourselves. That's what's hurting us. That's what's hurting you. All right, so I don't want to make this too long. That was just a snippet. I just wanted to share what I felt like God put on my heart. And I pray that if you have a habit, if you have a behavior that you know is holding you back from that version of you that you know God called you to become, that you know is a part of you that's just waiting for you to enter, but there's just something that's been holding you back because it's been a pattern, it's been a habit of yours for so long, I pray that you just ask God to help you surrender that, and that He provides a way to replace that habit, that mindset, that attitude with a different one that's more fulfilling, a one that's more holy, a one that makes you a better person. Because think about it, like, one of the biggest reasons why I was convicted about that was like, well, when I'm married, I don't want to be going to the gym and looking at people like that. I can't be going to the gym and looking at people like that. So as a single person, I have to learn how to do that and respect people in my mind and not see them as like, ooh, you're fine, or like, dang, did you see that guy? Like, even that language, that's not God honoring. And I know it seems like, oh my God, like, come on, Preeti, but it is. I mean, I'm just just think about it. Like, when you're a kid, think of it from a child's perspective. When you're a kid, like, people don't look at you that way, like your other friends. Like, everyone's just about like heart. And it's so beautiful because people love you, or like want to get to know you, or like you, or like, you know, because of your heart. But when we grow older, it becomes all about how we look. And I can't be the only one that feels like something inside you feels weird when someone's just like attracted to you physically, or attracted to you right away, and they don't even really know you. Like, I always felt weird about that. And I think that's just something as a kid, when I was overweight, I had to be only liked by my heart. There were some guys who did like me, but because of my character, you know, so I always admired when someone kind of just like liked me for me, and not really, oh, like me as a trainer, me at the gym, me working out. Yeah, so I don't know why I shared that. I guess, yeah, so I hope this encouraged you to be honest with yourself and give yourself grace, but also, you know, there's time for discipline. And if you're in a season of your life where you feel stagnant, it may be time to go through some discipline. Yes, so I pray that this message blessed you, and my honesty and vulnerability, I hope that blessed you as well, because I told you, like, this channel, I do want to be more honest and vocal and not be afraid to show the parts of me, the sides of me that I was trying to hide for so long, and those are gone though. So I'm okay with talking about it, because that was a version of me that I had to be and I had to go through to get to the version that I am now, and I'm becoming. Yeah, all right. Have a great morning, afternoon, evening. Be blessed. Bye.